Today I'm going to show you how to make one of my absolute favorite fall and holiday desserts. It's called a pumpkin roll. It's really easy to make, and here's how you're going to start. You are going to need what my mother affectionately calls a jelly roll pan, which is basically a 15 by 10, and it has a little bit of a lip to it, a 1/2 inch lip, okay? So you want to make sure this is the size pan that you use. What I'm actually going to do is put parchment paper down, and I spray the parchment paper because you want to make sure that the bread portion of your pumpkin roll does not stick, all right? We are going to stick it in the oven, and it's going to cook. Then we'll cool it. We'll put our cream cheese spread in the middle and then roll it up, which is why it's affectionately known as the pumpkin roll. So I'm going to show you how to make it. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to get 3 eggs, and you are going to put those in your mixer, and you're going to start those on high for 5 minutes. All right, you want them very, very frothy, so just put them on high and just let them go while you're portioning out a cup of cane sugar. All right, 2/3 of a cup of pumpkin. Simply Truth Organic makes an awesome 100% pumpkin, perfect for this recipe. And then you are going to be using a teaspoon of lemon juice. All right, so once this has gone for 5 minutes and the eggs have gotten all frothy, you're going to slowly add in your sugar, slowly add in your pumpkin, and then slowly add in your teaspoon of lemon juice. You can either do half a squeezed lemon, or Lidl makes this awesome lemon juice, which is imported from Italy, so you know it's non-GMO. So that's your wet ingredients, all right? Now in a separate bowl, you are going to portion out 3/4 of a cup of flour, 1 teaspoon of baking powder. By the way, Rumford makes a really good aluminum-free baking powder, which is also gluten-free and verified non-GMO. So that's just a little tidbit for you. So a teaspoon of baking powder, a teaspoon of ginger, 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, and then 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. You're going to put that in a separate bowl and mix that all together. And then once all your wet ingredients have been put in there, you're going to slowly mix in your dry ingredients into your mixture until it looks like this. See how frothy that is? It's got lots of air in there because of what we did to the eggs. And then we're just going to portion this out. So I'm going to get this in here, and then we're going to put it in the oven. Stay tuned. All right, so I put this down in here, and then I'm just gonna push it out to the edges so that we make sure that it gets a little closer. It'll settle out as it's cooking, but I always like to make sure that it moves the way it needs to, just so you don't end up with a oddly shaped bread in here, okay? All right, I'll put it in the oven. It is gonna go in a 370-degree oven for 15 minutes, all right, or until golden brown. Okay, this just came out of the oven. Look, it's golden brown, just like I said. It's perfect. We are gonna let this rest for 5 minutes before we flip it over into a tea towel. I'm gonna show you how to do that, but you are gonna need a tea towel. So while this comes out and it rests for 5 minutes, you are gonna do 2 things. You're gonna portion out 3/4 of a cup of walnuts. If you choose to do nuts on this pumpkin roll, you don't have to, but the recipe calls for it. So 3/4 of a cup of whole walnuts, and then you are going to put those into a food processor, and you want them to come out like a fine powder so you can see. Okay, so once you have your walnuts mixed up in the food processor, set those aside, and then for your filling, your cream cheese filling, you are going to grab a 8-ounce container of cream cheese, softened, all right? Make sure you get full fat, not reduced fat, cream cheese, 1 1/4 to 1.5 cups of powdered sugar. You are going to put a tablespoon of butter and then 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla into your mixer. Get that going and mix that up. Now, once this is completely cooled, which it is, you're going to go ahead and take some of those walnuts, and you are just going to lightly sprinkle the top of your bread portion of your pumpkin roll, and then you are going to take some powdered sugar, and you are also going to put some. Okay, so you're going to just take some powdered sugar and lightly dust the top of this with powdered sugar, all right? And then we are going to take the tea towel, we are going to lay it over the bread portion, and then you're going to take a cookie sheet, so we've got something flat and solid, and we can flip this over. All right, and you are going to just flip it over, all right? So you saw I put a cookie sheet underneath, I put one on top, and you just flip it over like so, all right? And then we will very, very gently begin to take off the parchment paper, because what we put the powdered sugar and the walnuts on will end up being the outside of our pumpkin roll. So you've already dusted that appropriately. And there you have it. So now what you're going to do is you are going to fold the one end over, and then you are literally just going to begin to roll this up, because this is going to cool just a little bit more, but you want it to start getting used to being in this position, because once your filling is in this, this is what it's going to look like rolled up. So there you go. I let this cool for another 10 minutes, so now it's completely cooled, and I am going to unroll it, and I'm going to fill it with my cream cheese filling. So this is basically what you do. You take your cream cheese filling and you begin to put that in there, and you're gonna you want a very thin layer across the entire inside of your bread portion. I've added all my filling, and here's a couple important things. One, you wanna try to make sure that it's as evenly distributed as possible. Try to get it as close to the edge as possible, but you don't want it spilling over, all right? Now, the other reason why you want to make sure that it's evenly distributed is because as you roll this up, it's going to start to move some of that filling down, and then you don't want it to get to the end and you've got this big glob of filling at the end. All right, so that's just a tip for you. So as you begin to roll it up, you are just going to start here and then very gently roll, and you go from there. All right, so I rolled it up, and then I put a piece of plastic wrap, and I just continued to roll it onto that and rolled it up, and then I'm going to put it in the refrigerator and chill it for an hour, because you want to serve this cold, because it's got to be able to cut nicely. All right, you want it to be pretty with that pumpkin and the white cream cheese in the middle. So we're going to put this in the refrigerator for at least an hour to chill. This is perfect for you to make the night before if you're serving it at a party the next day. And then when you pull it out, even though it's already got some powdered sugar and some walnuts on it, you can dust some more powdered sugar on it right before you serve it when you put it on your platter as well. So just keep that in mind. But here's what it looks like, and I will show you the finished product. Okay, so this has been chilling for an hour. I have unrolled it, and what we are gonna do is I'm gonna lift it up and then put it onto my serving platter, and then I'm gonna dust it again with cream cheese, all right? And you are gonna put seam side down. So just make sure that as you pull the saran wrap, it is able to be seated on the tray how you want it. You can always reposition it a little bit. Do not worry if you have a few seams here with the bread itself, because we are just gonna dust powdered sugar over it like that. And then this is how you're gonna serve it, all right? And then let's just cut a piece and see how it turned out. Okay, so here you go. I went ahead and dusted it a little bit more with powdered sugar so you can serve it that way as well. This is what it looks like from the side. The longer you let it sit in the refrigerator, the more it will firm up. I chilled this for an hour, but you can definitely keep it in there overnight or serve this at your next fall or holiday party. There's your organic pumpkin roll.